Jamal Walker is a normal guy, working a full-time job at a theme park called Medieval World. The owner of the park is worried about its future because it is suffering financially. In addition, a competitor theme park called the Castle World is opening right next to them. If they do not come up with new ideas, the Medieval World is bound to go bankrupt. One afternoon, Jamal is tasked to clean the ditch surrounding the park. While he is at it, he notices a medallion in the water, which looks like it could be worth a lot of money. Probably $35 from the gift shop. While trying to retrieve it, Jamal falls into the ditch, and although it is pretty shallow, he drowns. When he comes out of the water, he sees that he is no longer in the park. He rationalizes that this must be in Castle World, which is near to their park. What Jamal doesn't know is that he has been sucked into the past, into 1300s England. The first person he meets is a drunkard named Nolte. Although he is clearly wearing ancient clothes, Jamal thinks he is a worker in costume. Ignoring the man, he makes his way into the city and comes across a massive castle, which to him is the main attraction of Castle World. He tries to go inside, but is stopped by the guards. They ask him where he is from, to which he replies, Normandy. Jamal means Normandy from LA, but the guards assume that he is a French Moor, who they had been expecting to come next week. They let him in, and Jamal is introduced to a bustling market, where everyone is wearing clothing from the 1300s. He is impressed by the accuracy of the theme park, still unaware that he has traveled through time. Suddenly, his eyes land on a beautiful girl named Victoria. Jamal approaches her to shoot his shot, but they are interrupted by the cruel Commander General, Percival. He acts like he owns all the women in the town, just because he is a royal guard. Hence, his ego is hurt when he gets a bit too close to Victoria, and Jamal stops him. He threatens to complain to the manager about the misconduct. Percival pulls out his sword on him, but Jamal thinks it is fake and surprises everyone with his bravery. Following that, he meets a stranger who brings him to the king at his request. The king has arranged a marriage between his daughter Regina and the Duke of Normandy. He thinks Jamal is a messenger and inquires when the Duke is going to be here. A confused Jamal plays along and randomly names a date. Later that day, he is taken outside to witness an execution. He is excited, thinking that they are just actors playing along with the theme. The execution goes smoothly, but when Jamal picks up the decapitated head of a rebel, his world changes. He is so in shock that he falls unconscious without saying a word. When Jamal wakes up, he finds himself in his room with Victoria. He is wearing the medallion that he found in the ditch, which makes her believe he is one of her people. She shows him her medallion, which is similar to his. Turns out the medallion is a symbol of the rebellions, who are tired of the king's cruel judgment system. He has dethroned the former queen unfairly and has killed many innocents for criticizing his rule. The group of rebels want to kick him out of the kingdom and bring the former queen back into power. Still confused, Jamal asks her what date it is and finds out it is 1328 AD. He freaks out and wants to return to his own time, but doesn't know how. They are then interrupted by a guard who invites them for a horse riding adventure. Because of Jamal's lack of knowledge about horses, he amuses everyone with his horse riding technique. Even the king enjoys the show and then invites him to a royal dinner that night. The party is dull, so Jamal lights it up by dancing like he used to in the future. Everyone joins him, and it becomes the most lively party the palace has ever held. In the middle of it, Princess Regina pulls Jamal aside and forcefully plants a kiss on his lips. She has been hitting on him ever since his arrival, but was too scared to approach him in front of her father. Percival catches him red-handed and is enraged by the audacity of the newcomer. At the same time, two rebels are seconds away from attacking the king. Jamal hangs by the chandelier and lands on the king, ironically saving him from the rebels. When the situation calms down, Percival is reprimanded for not doing his job properly, while Jamal is praised and made the head of security. Percival drowns in jealousy and anger, but he's bound to keep his head down in front of the king's decision. Being the head of security, Jamal is given a bunch of responsibilities. He puts forward his idea to rebuild the opening to the castle with his head, which he argues will keep the enemies away. Before the plan is implemented, the king calls him for a more important task. A farmer was found stealing a turnip from the royal garden. Even though it was to feed his starving family, he is ordered to be executed for his crime. Moreover, since Jamal is the security head, he is the one that has to take care of the execution. When the king leaves, he lets the poor farmer go and even gives him some money for food. At night, Jamal asks to be presented with the finest chambermaid for his entertainment. He chooses Victoria and gets her alone in his room with the excuse of sleeping with her. Victoria still wants him to be an asset to the rebel group and help them assassinate the king. However, after seeing that the king kills people over vegetables, Jamal is no longer interested in rebelling. Victoria is disappointed, but he argues that he is just not the man for the job. She calls him a coward and leaves. At midnight, a woman comes into Jamal's room and makes love to him. He thinks it is Victoria and doesn't protest. The next morning, the real messenger from Normandy arrives, and the king finds out Jamal has been lying to them. He, the messenger, and the guards barge into Jamal's room and find him naked, with Princess Regina by his side. Percival accuses him of forcefully deflowering the princess. Jamal argues that someone had already got to the princess's flower before him, but no one listens. The messenger calls off the wedding because Regina is no longer fit to be a duchess. As a result of the chaos, Jamal is thrown into the dungeon and arraigned for execution with the two rebels who attempted to assassinate the king. In the dungeon, Jamal makes friends with the rebels who have already accepted their death. They tell him the story of the Black Knight, a revolutionary warrior. It is believed that the knight could not be bribed with all the money in the world and would fight vigorously for justice. In one of the battles, he was swallowed whole by a dragon. However, with the help of a sword of gold, he cut himself from the belly and killed the beast. After the incident, he could even breathe fire like a dragon itself. The next day, the trio is brought in front of the crowd to be executed. In a moment of panic, Jamal tells people that he is a wizard from the future who has the power to burn everyone. He tries to prove his point by using a lighter, but it doesn't work. When he is seconds away from being beheaded, the executioner begins to choke on an apple. This makes the crowd believe he has cast a spell of death upon him. Jamal goes with the misconception and pretends to do the same on the crowd. Suddenly, a fire breaks nearby, proving his power to the commoners. But in reality, the rebels are firing flaming arrows from outside the castle to save their people. In the end, Jamal and the others escape the castle with Victoria's help. Jamal also meets the drunkard named Nolte on horseback and finds out he used to be the knight of the former queen. He was one of the greatest warriors of the kingdom before the king dethroned the queen and kicked him out as well. He eventually turned into an alcoholic, but somewhere inside, everyone knows that the fighter in him is still alive. After spending some time with the rebellious group, Jamal realizes the severity of the situation and decides to help them dethrone the king at last. While in the woods, he notices three men troubling Nolte for no reason. He helps the guy, but is caught by the thugs himself. Nolte comes out of his shell and fights the bullies to free Jamal. He is now motivated to quit drinking and help the group in their purpose. The two then return to the settlement and find it in shambles. It turns out Percival and his troops have destroyed it and abducted Victoria. Everyone loses hope of ever winning this fight when the former queen reveals herself. She discloses she was with them all this time, helping them from the shadows. For the next few days, the group prepares to plan a better attack. Jamal, who has the knowledge of the future, teaches them tactics used in American football and pro wrestling. This gives the unarmed rebels a means to battle when the time comes. He himself learns some basic sword fighting techniques from Nolte. Then, the day of the attack finally comes. The group prepares itself and gets ready to fight with their lives. Nolte leads them to the castle, but in only a few minutes they are completely surrounded by guards under Percival's order. They are outnumbered and pushed back. Then, to everyone's surprise, the battlefield is invaded by the Black Knight himself. He makes a grand entrance, urging the guards to run away from him. Not only that, but he also breathes fire out of his mouth. The rebels finally think they are about to win, but that is until the Black Knight falls off his horse, revealing that he is none other than Jamal himself. Percival is about to end his life when Nolte comes to his rescue and fights the guard. Following that, a fierce battle ensues between the two parties. Using the techniques that Jamal taught them, the commoners are able to trick and defeat many guards. Amidst the battle, the king runs to Percival and begs him to bring him to safety. Percival sees him as a weak and unworthy leader. Hence, when the king tries to give him an order, he in turn orders him to shut up and pushes him off the castle into the moat. The fight seems to be shifting to the side of the rebels until Percival shoots a longbow at Nolte and hurts him gravely. After that, he takes Victoria hostage. Jamal bolts to her rescue and uses the technique taught by Nolte to fight. Percival is surprised and tries his best to stay his ground, but in the end, Jamal wins and manages to rescue Victoria. As he is picking her up, Percival stands up again, getting ready to kill Jamal once and for all. However, he is shot dead by Nolte, who is still alive on the battlefield. In the end, the rebels become the victors, and Jamal turns into everyone's hero. A few weeks later, it is time for him to return home. He wishes Victoria goodbye and leaves her with one last kiss. Before departing, the queen awards him as the Black Knight of the Kingdom. Flattering. Racist, but flattering. A while later, Jamal wakes back up in the 2000s, surrounded by a paramedic and his colleagues from the theme park. They disclose that he drowned in the ditch and was saved, but has been unconscious ever since. The rational way to describe his experience would be to call it a dream, but Jamal knows it wasn't that. Before he went into the past, he wanted to leave his job, to transfer to the castle-themed park, where he could make more money. But now, his attitude has changed. Because he knows almost everything about the medieval world, he offers his ideas to the owner and makes the theme park more on theme. That's the corporate attitude, Jamal. It becomes a huge success that overshadows the castle world's opening. 6 weeks later, Jamal is taking a stroll in the park when he comes across a woman named Nicole who looks exactly like Victoria. Nicole comments that he looks familiar, and the two start a conversation. They feel the sparks between them, but Nicole has to leave because of her nephew. Suddenly, Jamal remembers to ask for her number and runs behind her, but while trying to catch up, he falls into the ditch again. This time, he wakes up in the Colosseum of ancient Rome, about to be devoured by lions. Unfortunately, this movie got slammed by critics, and it never got a sequel, so Jamal probably died. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.